Let's go to New Orleans, where Ed Werder is covering tonight's game. The biggest question, Ed, at the moment is the availability of Trevor Lawerence. You talked to Jags head coach Doug Peterson. What did he have to say?
Yeah, Laura, the Jaguars have a starting quarterback expected to be playing through a knee injury, a short week road game against the Saints in a place they've never won. Jacksonville is 0-3 in the Superdome. And I did speak to Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson earlier today, and he believes Trevor Lawerence will start tonight against the Saints. That's pending a pregame workout that Peterson and the training staff will supervise before finalizing that decision, and assumes there's no unforeseen setback with his sprained left knee. Peterson told me that Lawerence has steadily improved his health-wise, definitely wants to play, and has been living in the training room, receiving treatment in the 4 days since he was injured. He's made 40 consecutive starts since being drafted first overall, never missing a game. Lawerence will probably be required to wear a protective knee brace and has some apprehension about that, I'm told, because it's something he's not experienced before. And Laura, Peterson will call plays with the understanding his quarterback has some limitations regarding mobility. An important element that he brings with his ability to extend plays and move around to various launch points during the course of a game against a very difficult Saints defense. So don't be surprised if Peterson runs the ball a little bit more often to take some of the pressure off his injured quarterback. And, oh, by the way, one final thing. At Clemson, Lawerence went 34-2, his 2 losses, both in the Superdome. And they do, Laura, believe in voodoo here.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I actually was at one of those losses. Rare to see him lose at all in college. Thanks to Ed for the latest there. Sounds like Trevor will at least get the chance to start tonight. We'll see if that knee brace or the knee at all hinders him. He struggled against man coverage, by the way, this season, ranking in the bottom 5 of the NFL in yards per attempt and touchdown to interception ratio. Assuming he plays, right, Lawerence will see plenty of man tonight against the Saints, who use it at the 3rd highest rate in the NFL. For good reason, okay? When playing man coverage, the Saints defense ranks top 5 in yards per attempt and touchdown to interception ratio. So if we think about this, RC, if Lawerence is out there playing tonight on the injured knee, did the Jags need to alter their game plan, as Ed was kind of alluding to there?
Yeah, I think some of it has to be altered because an underrated part of what Trevor Lawerence is and what Trevor Lawerence can do is his ability to use his legs and extend plays, whether it's getting first downs by scrambling and running or getting outside of the pocket and creating other opportunities for his wideouts and running backs. So you have to start with the run game, start with the Travis Etiennes and the Tank Bigsby's, and then go outside and think about the quick game. Trevor Lawerence isn't one of these quarterbacks that entire being is predicated off of his ability to push the football down the field. He can read defenses and process, and he also has a guy in Doug Peterson that understands getting the football out of his hands quickly. I think that they'll protect Trevor Lawerence and also have to see how much he can move. Sometimes you get into the game, and once the adrenaline gets flowing, you can move a little bit, and if Trevor can do that, I believe Doug Peterson will adjust his game plan because of Trevor's ability to do a little more than they're expecting.
RC, totally agree on the legs thing. Not only a strength of Trevor's, but also a way to hurt this New Orleans Saints man defense scheme. Tonight is a Christian Kirk night. If you're going to have success throwing the ball against this defense, it has to be the slot guy. Now, luckily for the Jags, he's tremendous at it. The patience and then the separation. Watch how both him and Calvin Ridley are at the basic same starting point. You see how much slower he is off the line of scrimmage? That's on purpose. Allow Ridley to clear the outside defender and then set that nickel defender so you can run away from him. This is very good patience and then separation from Christian Kirk. I forgot his name. I thought Calvin Ridley. Now here is at the bottom of the slot again. It's that very same look. He's going to let Ridley push vertical. Now the one at the top, that's the out route. He's trying to get that nickel, that slot defender to think, here comes that same slot out. So you get that guy to widen. The difference is he's going to slip and run the inside slant. And so I think because of the nuance in his route running, it's paramount that he become that guy tonight versus maybe an Alante Taylor. And the second thing I think is going to be really key for the Jags, those backs that RC mentioned in pass protection. This is one of the best blitzing linebacker units with Pete Werner and Demario Davis. They're going to be tested with picking up some of the unique pressures and picks from the Saints defense.
What more can you tell us, Adam, about Trevor Lawrence's status for tonight's game in New Orleans? He's dealing with that left knee injury.
Well, as Edward reported at the top of the show, the Jaguars are operating under the assumption that Trevor Lawerence is going to be able to go tonight. That's the expectation. They want to see him pregame in warm-ups with the supervision of coaches and doctors before they sign off on him going out there, but that is the sense right now that he will be starting. And there are some other notable injuries tonight. Zay Jones already ruled out. The Saints will be without a pair of offensive linemen, Ryan Ramczyk and James Hurst. Ramczyk concussion, Hurst has an ankle. Jamal Williams activated a short time ago. He will play tonight, and it looks like Demario Davis won't go, even though he is listed as questionable, Laura.
Ooh, interesting. All right, all the latest there right up to kickoff. Thanks to Adam. Let's give some love to the Jaguars defense, which has quietly been one of the best in the NFL this season. Jacksonville ranks third in the NFL in defensive efficiency, trailing only the Browns and Ravens. We just talked earlier on the show about how great Cleveland's been. A significant reason for that has been the Jaguars' ability to force turnovers as they lead the NFL with 15 takeaways. RC, in your mind, what's the strength of this Jags D?
You know what, I think it starts up front when you look at what Trayvon Walker has become, but more importantly, Josh Allen. Josh Allen is showing why he was drafted so high out of Kentucky a few years back. Also on the back end, I believe Andre Cisco, a guy that came out of Syracuse as an absolute ball hawk, is starting to show some of those things. And think about what we've seen from Darius Williams this year as well, with a guy like Tyson Campbell locking up on the outside. It starts with this rush, also the ability to bring pressure from the secondary. I think the pressure they put on the quarterback and then being able to capitalize with ball hawks on the back end is a huge reason why this defense continues to ascend.
Totally agree, RC, and I think tonight it's even more paramount because the Saints offensive line has struggled, and they're now playing with two backup tackles. The five-man front that the Jags presents is so challenging. Five guys at the line of scrimmage. So often, which one of the five are going to be the pressure? Four off of the right come off of that five-man front. One of those defensive end outside linebackers drops back, and as a quarterback, you sit there and go, I got a completion. No, those windows are so much smaller. So they go five-man front, four-man rush. There's that same five-man front. Last time we saw it, we got a four-man rush. This time we see it, it's only a three-man rush. That means 8 in coverage. Again, those windows are so much more condensed. So we went 5 and 4, 5 and 3. Now this is a five-man front, but the linebackers walked up inside. He pressures, another edge defender drops, and they're going to play a drop-down carry coverage. There's one of those interceptions that you almost talked about, RC. Here's that five-man front presentation again. Four-man rush. Trayvon Walker is so good when it comes to dropping with depth because he's so long. Gardner Minshew tries to throw that ball over his head. It floats. There's one of those interceptions that RC was talking about. That's huge tonight. The five-man front presentation, not only to confuse the quarterback, Derek Carr, but those offensive linemen. Who are those of those five are actually going to be rushing? Which one is dropping? Where does the help go? It's a huge key for tonight. Yeah, you're making those offensive linemen think a ton.
I can't tell if he's
frozen.
frozen.
Oh, it's me. I didn't know that. Hey, I think the best part about this defense, though, is its young core. When you look at some of these guys, when you start at Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, on the back end with Andre Cisco, Tyson Campbell at the corner, this team is extremely young. You draft a backer last year, bring over one to Luakon from the Atlanta Falcons. Everything that they're doing with their core of players is about a youth resurgence. And when you can get youth to play at a high level, that means the future is even brighter than the present.
RC was like me when they used to call on us in math class, like, ooh, no, it's me. Okay.
You don't like math?
I'm terrible at math. RC, over under 52.5 yards on the ground for Alvin Kamara tonight.
You know, I'm going to go over, and here's why. They've made a concerted effort to get Alvin Kamara the ball since he's returned, and I believe that now he's starting to get into form. We haven't seen him be dynamic yet, but with Derek Carr being a little banged up, I expect him to be a huge part of the New Orleans Saints offense.
Feels like a Kamara game for sure. Over under 54.5 receiving yards for Calvin Ridley.
You know what? I'm going to go over because when you think about what Calvin Ridley can do, he can move inside, he can play outside. And I expect this to be a game where they use the quicks to get the football out of Trevor Lawrence's hands because of that knee injury. Also, think about when you can get an opportunity to make an audible with an off defender on Calvin Ridley, you're going to want to get him the ball so we can get yards after the catch. I'm going to go over for Calvin Ridley.
Let's talk defense for a minute. Over under half a sack for Cam Jordan tonight.
You know what? I'm going to go under because he's only had half a sack in 2 games this year. Only 1 sack totaled on the entire year for Cam Jordan. And I expect with the Jacksonville Jaguars having to get the football out of Trevor Lawrence's hand, he won't have as much time to rush. So I'm going to go under for Cam Jordan.
Time to get some truly hard seltzer game picks. And for this one, we're going to pop the picks up on the screen. It looks like Ryan's the only one going with the Saints here. Dan and I on the Jaguars. Ryan, why is that?
Because of that belly.
Well, because I live 45 minutes from New Orleans, and I think I might be going down there to get some food tomorrow. And so if I go down there and they lose, I can be like, but hey, guys, I was riding with you. And then if they win, they're going to be like, way to stick with the home team. Now, I think it's a very difficult place to play in New Orleans. They play defensively, man-to-man is difficult for Trevor Lawrence. And him being hampered and banged up, I believe, plays a part in the result tonight.
Hey, that's a great reason for a pick.